coming up.
People want to be a part of ag, and I think that they want to do it in their own way, and I think that's unique, but there's also opportunity out there to do it, and there's a lot of people that are willing to stand up and risk something to be a part of it.
It would be really cool to bring together some of those younger people. Are y'all doing that, like as far as the state goes?
These kids are fired up about anything entrepreneurship, but their passion is rural economic development.
That's right around the corner on the Live Ag Ranch and Livestock Marketing We Live It podcast. But first, a reminder. If it's time to sell your cattle, consign your cattle with Live Ag. Our summer auction schedule is on your screen and available at live-ag.com. Consign your cattle now and take advantage of Live Ag's generations of experience in livestock marketing. Now here's your hosts, Ty D. Cordova and Casey Mabry.
Well, welcome here to Logan County Cattlewomen's Calcutta. Me and Casey decided to show up here. Brett called us and wanted us to come up and shoot a few episodes, so we reached out to several people and decided we would come up here with them, and thanks to McIndoffers for inviting us to be here. We got some really neat guests on today. Cassie, I just said this, Lapaseotes.
You got it.
I got it. Cassie Lapaseotes. She decided to join us from Nebraska. They have a feed yard there with her and her father, and they're part of the new beef plant, the sustainable beef there in Nebraska also. So we just want to welcome you here and thank you for joining us, and just kind of get right in and talk about what's going on at the yard and how the feed yard ties into everything, and just kind of how you are envisioning all that to go.
Sure, yeah. So I'm fourth generation, part of my family's cattle feeding, farming, and cow-calf operation in Bridgeport. We have two feed yards right there outside of Bridgeport. One's a 5,000 head yard. I manage that one, and then we have a 10,000 head yard that's just right outside of town. So my dad and I are on the cattle side. We've had a really good year for feeding cattle. And then on the farming side is my uncle and his son, and we feed about 10,000 irrigated acres right there, 20-mile radius within Bridgeport. We're part of the Dinklage feed yards. Okay. Feed a lot of cattle with the Dinklage. We're very big into, tying everything together. Our corn all goes to our feed yards. Our sugar beets all go to the sugar company that we're a part of. And then our cattle is the one thing that we didn't really have a home for. And so through COVID, everybody was ready for some change. And we've had a lot of people come to the table, and sustainable beef is the one group of people that made it a go. And now we are about 32 days from opening.
So that was going to be my next question. When will y'all spill first blood? I mean, when?
The plan is May 28th. That's the plan. Things change, things happen, but as it sits today, May 28th is day one.
Cool.
I'm
one
so
shift,
excited.
2 shifts?
One shift.
One shift?
One shift, Yep, 1,500 head a day, one shift. It's awesome.
Man, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Casey's had a relationship with y'all for a while. I mean, y'all known each other for a little bit. Kind of tell us a little bit about that, how that come about.
Yeah, so I would have met Cassie's dad first when I was buying cattle for Cargill back in 2005 or 2006. And then the first time that I met Cassie would have been I would have been down at Colorado State recruiting, and then one of these kids comes up and was like, "Man, I met this girl, and you buy cattle from her dad." And I was like, "Who's that?" And he was like trying to mispronounce your name and things like that. And then Cassie showed up. You were a freshman, I think, at CSU at that time. So it's crazy how fast things have gone from then. But I'll tell you what, your family has probably got, out of all the people that I've come across with throughout my time in this industry, that area that you live in is so unique. Before we go any further on the plant and things like that, let's talk about like the old days, okay? So like Cassie, I think your family has got awesome heritage. Talk about like who founded it, where that would have come from. Let's talk about like where, like I'm talking about before we even had roads out in that area. So
yeah, my family history is, I'm mom and dad's side is both extremely unique. On my dad's side, both his mom and dad are 100% Greek. His mom was, she immigrated over to the United States when she was 19. My dad's dad was born in the United States, so I would be fourth generation from that side of the family. And my great papu, which my great grandpa, when he came over in 1909, I want to say, he worked his way across the states through the railroad. And he would have been an outcast.
So he was working on the railroad.
He was working on the railroads, and he established in Bridgeport because he started working then building all the sugar factories in western Nebraska and Colorado, and he became a foreman building all these sugar factories, and then bought some acreage in Bridgeport and started farming, and from there it grew.
So let's talk about Bridgeport, Nebraska here for a minute. So if you haven't been there before, it's definitely different than eastern Nebraska. You're out west. You've got the river that runs through there. Right, yeah. But outside of that, today it's a lot of irrigated farm ground that's along that river because of the aquifer and things that are there. But whenever he would have gone there, it would have been a desert.
It would have been nothing, yeah. My dad and my grandfather they would just buy pasture ground and establish and put farms and put more farms. And back then you could just take the pasture ground and establish it, and it wasn't a big deal. Today, you have to have certified acres, and you're not allowed to do that today. And water restrictions has changed all of that. But yeah, irrigation, pivot irrigation came out west in the 70s and just exploded in that area. And so when you talk about the uniqueness of Bridgeport and the operations out there, it's very common to have the farmer feeders. So a lot of us have farm ground, we have feedlots, and we have a cow-calf herd, and it's very, very common in the Bridgeport area.
Yeah, so what's always been cool about that area, and I'm not trying to, I tell everybody that area, out of everywhere that I've been, every area's got something unique about it, but to feed cattle, you have to have a really dry climate. But then you don't necessarily have the ability to grow corn in that area. But then you guys have the access to the water, not only through the river and the canal systems, but then also the irrigation systems, but the pivots. So that area is so cool when it comes to cattle production and efficiencies, but then also grain basis. It's a pretty cool time period. So out in that area now, you guys would have multiple sugar beet plants. So there's a lot of sugar beets grown there. So that's one available feed stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the distillers plant.
Distillers.
Yeah, the ethanol plant that produces distillers and all the corn that's grown there. And then kind of a natural funnel for cattle coming out of the west. Mm-hmm. So it's a really, really cool area. And it's crazy to think about your family, 4 generations ago that would have been there. And it's almost necessary. Maybe he was there and he said, man, this is where it's all going to happen.
Right.
But he just landed there, and maybe it's by the grace of God, who knows. But then he was able to kind of set that foundation forward. And it's just kind of a great story. And then now we fast forward to where you guys are putting this packing plant in North Platte, Nebraska. And in my mind, that's one of the best locations that you could have in the world from a center point of cattle. So let's talk a little bit about this is Logan County Cattlewomen's deal, and I think it's awesome that you, at the age you are, coming back into your operation and working in your family's operation. And obviously in every family there's some uniqueness there, but what are some of the challenges, I guess, Cassie, that you've seen over the last 4 or 5 years outside of market stuff? And then how has that kind of prepared you mentally to kind of go through the mental exhaustion of building a packing plant?
Well, it started before. I can't quite go 4 years ago, because my family, we tried to do this about 14 years ago in the Scottsbluff, Bridgeport area, and that was kind of my first exposure to, I'd say, negative social media, people that you thought were your friends disagreeing with you and publicly disagreeing with you, and I had never experienced that, and that was my first taste of big projects that people aren't going to just be all on board with you on. That project didn't go through, and then fast forward to this project, we kind of already had our feet in the water, said, day one, you're going to have somebody on this project 365 for the next year. You're not going to make much progress, but somebody's got to be on this every day. People aren't going to always agree. And I had already been yep, we know that's going to happen. Let's go. You don't look at the negativity. You don't look at, my mind was already established into how to handle that. And so having that experience early on really helped me just be able to just push forward and move forward with this project.
Yeah, so it's interesting how, and I think it's like a very unique partnership in all the people that are involved in it, from the meat side of it, back into the cattle side of it. And where those two worlds are going to collide as you go forward here. But I think that you guys have done such a good job kind of setting that up. And honestly, I texted you the other day when I saw the video of it, the inside of it, and it was awesome to see you guys. I'm guessing you were on the grade chain and the sales cooler whenever you were doing all that stuff and kind of announcing everything. And it just looks like a beautiful facility. I need to go probably check it out because I'm kind of a packing house nut, I guess you'd say. But
you need to go.
So when do you guys are thinking about firing off here May 28th?
Yep.
So everything seems like it's going pretty well so far.
It's going well. Yeah, we big projects like this, you always have things in the works and things, but it's going well, and we're very excited and very blessed to have people on board that we have to make the project come true. When we started it, like during that COVID time we were talking about earlier, we had multiple people come in and say, we got to do something. And we sat back and listened and had, just sat back and listened. And it was the team with Sustainable Beef that their vision just kept true, and they kept saying, we're going to do this and move forward. And then the progress started happening with them. And they're the only group that progress happened with. And so it was just evident from day one they were ready to bring the right people on board, and they had the location. And from the first time we went about that, we learned that the location and the people in the town is such a crucial part of where this, just having them accept you as a company and a project is crucial in moving forward and making the process a little bit easier. I mean, you still have all the hoops to jump through, but they wanted us there. The city wanted us. The teachers is always a big one. We talked to a lot of teachers, and we asked, are you worried about different languages? And she told me one day, she goes, Cassie, we've already have 14 different languages spoken in the school today. She's like, we need kids. We're looking at closing schools. So that was a big deal to them. The land that it's built on is, southeast part of town, ties in with the wastewater. It was an old lagoon. The pieces were put together, and it just kept progressing, and the puzzle is now becoming complete, and it's cool.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to think back, because I've never built a packing plant. I've studied this industry a tremendous amount.
Sure.
And what I tell people all the time is, like, to build a packing plant of that size, there's only been 2 or 3 ever built that size. The rest of them were all built to kill 800 or 900 cattle.
Right.
And the rest of them were all built to just, when all those plants were built in the 50s and the 60s, they were built to rail out carcasses or ship out carcasses. Right. And then the fab floor came later. And then what the other part of it is they had to bring in people later, right? So you got plants in towns like Cactus, Texas, or Freona, Texas, where those towns are extremely small. The population of the town is way less than the workforce size. So to your point, you're finding a town that, hey, is willing to allow a lot of people that are going to work in these plants live in the town, but then also give you the site or work on you with the site. It's to be able to bring all those things together is pretty remarkable. And like me looking out for the last 3 or 4 years, watching you guys do it, it's actually pretty amazing to get that thing done. Not only financially, but then from just a coordination standpoint. I've got ADD worse than anybody in the world, so I would have definitely probably failed off starting off. You'd have been like, hey, look, we can put that plant in North Platte, and then walked off. But yeah, that's interesting. You said you went and talked to all the community members, and so did you guys split that up, like as far as like you or your other teammates? Like, how did y'all like kind of do that from a committee standpoint?
Well, we've got, there's a family in there that's a local family, and they would have taken the blunt of the public and talking with them, but where I came in on like the teacher standpoint is I just said we need a daycare to be a part of this packing plan. So that's where I kind of stemmed off and started talking with a gal in the school and her ideas, and she wanted to be a part of that conversation. But the blunt of it was the family that's a part of the community, and they were a part of the city council meetings. They talked to a lot of the people, and I wasn't even at a lot of those city council meetings, but the feedback from them the meetings was very positive the entire time. And so that really, I mean, just shines light into how well and accepted North Platte was to us. And thank goodness.
The state of Nebraska.
State of Nebraska. Oh man, our governor's been on board since day one. Well, we've had Pete Ricketts was on board day one, and now Governor Pillen is very supportive of the project. All of the senators have just really been there to help us along the way. And if we have a problem or need something, they're there to step up and willingness to be a part of the project. So.
Well, that area has just like grown tremendously in the last, call it 10 years, as far as feed yard capacity. Really,
yeah.
You've seen areas in the country that have shrank.
Yep.
Maybe in the east, and then as cattle have migrated more towards the more efficient feeding conditions. I mean, this just seems like a very natural spot to be.
Yeah, it's good. And what's really nice about the area is there's a lot of younger people coming back and not only just expanding on the feed yards, but they're buying other feed yards or being a part. The generations that could close shop and walk away. You've got a young generation of cattle feeders coming back and taking the risk to being a part of this industry and being successful at it as well. And I think there's a lot of the older generation is willing to help mentor them, help them in a lot of different facets of it. And then, we've got a new feed yard coming in, the black shirts coming in. I mean, that's cool. That's just for the cattle feeding world. There's a lot of really good things in Western Nebraska going on today.
Yeah. So are you guys like when you talk about the younger people, because this is one thing, Ty, that I've talked about just at length, and I'll go talk to a meeting. Okay. And so let's say what I've always said, Cassie, is the ability or the want to, or the desire to get into this business is always dictated on if there's margin or not.
Right.
And so it's very cyclical nature in the business and all that stuff. I mean, obviously in all sectors of it, cow-calf sector right now, everybody wants to be a cowboy because all the cows are making money.
Right.
On the feedlot side of it, the margins have been good for the last 3 or 4 years. Do you guys organize? I'm sitting here thinking about, and maybe you and I could probably talk about this off the microphone here, but it would be really cool to bring together some of those younger people. Are y'all doing that? Like as far as the state goes?
Not as much as the state. Like a lot of us are just buddies. I mean, we don't formally get together and have meetings. I mean, they're informal at the bar with a beer in your hand, and
those are pretty formal.
I mean, we have minutes and everything, but no, we don't at all. But I mean, we all get along very well, and I mean, you got to have them. You have to have that younger generation bring people into the community, have families, and then it ricochets off of that. Not even just in ag and the cattle feeding world. It's Bridgeport's young, and the businesses that are being opened on Main Street are young entrepreneurs, young people going off on their own. It's just for this rural economic development, it starts with just an industry and it ricochets off of there. And I think it's just, I could talk about Bridgeport and the youth coming back all day long. And if you wanted to get a group of us in a room together, I mean, just make sure there's Bush Light, and then we're good.
Well, that's good. That was one conversation we had on the way up here, was the youth in this industry and what's keeping them in here and what's bringing them in here. And that's good to hear from your perspective there. It sounds like y'all kind of got it going on where kids are coming back home and even expanding the operation of the family. And that's just always good. That's always a good thing to hear. As we move forward here, it's going to take the youth to.
Well, we're in this. I feel like we're in kind of a transition period. I mean, like what you guys are doing. Even I think there's people want to be a part of ag, and I think that they want to do it in their own way, and I think that's unique. But there's also opportunity out there to do it, and there's a lot of people that are willing to stand up and risk something to be a part of it. And I think it's just the mentality and the opportunity and I'm a part of a group, the Engler Entrepreneur Program through the University of Nebraska. And that was Paul Engler started this, and it's awesome. Like these kids are fired up about anything entrepreneurship, but their passion is rural economic development in Nebraska. And you want to get down on the next generation, or kids don't do things the way they used to. And
it's funny that everybody said that about every generation that you go back to. And so Deidre and I talk about that a lot. It's like, man, you just got to embrace those youth. And Ty and I were talking about it on the way here. Like, I think you just got to let some of these youth kind of go. Right. I joked around with Pete whenever we talked right before NCBA of like, oh, look, I'm over 40 years old now, and we can have a conversation,
my input's valuable.
Yeah, just because I've been here just on this earth a little bit longer. But no, I think that, just like I said, the watching in different areas. So I was at the South Dakota Prime Gala, which is an awesome meeting. That'd be something cool to go to also. That's what I told Zach. We've got an office in O'Neill, Nebraska, and I'm up there, and everybody's 35 to 40 years old.
That's cool.
And I'm like, well, I used to think was old, but that's young now. But I'm like, man, I told Zach, I'm like, this is a vibrant area. People are wanting to be here. We just got to make sure that when we go through tough times in this industry, or if we go through tough times, or when we go through tough times, the cyclical nature of it, we just got to make sure that we're there for each other too, and remind everybody that we got to go. There's another light to the tunnel.
Yeah, no, it's when and you've been through it, and you hate to see somebody go through it, but then if they can get through that first downturn, then it's, I got this. And it's, you're right though, you do have to support it, but man, it's cool, and it's exciting, because ag's cool right now.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody went into tech or equities or something like that, and everybody wants to be a cowboy.
Everybody wants to be in the business. Now that we're selling us how we are now, everybody wants to come back and do it. So but it took that. It's going to take that to keep this thing rolling. So, but no, I love what y'all are doing there, and it's got to be exciting to finally see it. It's fixing to happen.
We need to go up there and see that plant.
I know we do.
Yeah.
Be good if we knew somebody that could kind of give us a tour.
Yeah, I wish. I don't know.
Find that.
Maybe someday you can. Here's a phone number. We'll get. It'd be cool to go in before we start opening up, and then come back through when there are cattle going through being harvested. I think there's a lot of value in that, but it's just, you go in there and you're like, that's whoa. And then you turn around and you're like, this is. Every corner you go through is just even more amazing than the last one. And it's built for people and comfort. And it's built to do the job. It's a beast, but it's cool.
No, it's interesting. You talked about it. The word sustainable, and everybody kind of defines that different ways. And it's kind of been a buzzword for the last 15 years or so, but it's really like putting money, enriching the community back so you can bring youth back in there. It's interesting. You talk about, talking to the teachers first without just cramming it down their throat and engaging them, and that way you have the people to educate the next generation of the people, and then you talk about the ergonomics and all that stuff around making sure the employees are probably handled very well there. That way you're not turning over a bunch of employees and different people and kind of disrupting the town. But no, I think it's awesome. So Ty, we're gonna get down there or get up there, I guess, for us, and go see that place.
Get up there and see it.
But
so do y'all have? It's got to be exciting to know that, okay, 1,500 cattle are going to come here on hopefully May 28th. That's the hope date.
Well, the opening date,
opening day.
It won't be that head count that day.
Yeah, but so you'll have that schedule already kind of set on what cattle are going to come. That would be something that would be pretty exciting for me to know.
Whose animal gets to be the first one?
Yeah, who's going to play the rock, paper, scissors? Draw straws.
I think, this is my opinion, is all of the 8 founders should buy that animal together. Then there's no knockout, drag out of
that's a good
who
idea.
that is. And
are y'all going to save the hide on the first one?
Yeah. So that hide, and we were laughing about that too, because the gal that gives the tours, I said, Natalie, we got to do this. And she's like, you don't want that first hide? I said, yes, we do, because she goes, there'll be holes all over it. And I said, well, we can always strive to do better. But we'll get that hide. I requested my first hide that goes through so we can, and then I think all the founders are going to do the same thing on their first animals that go through. So
I would like to be the one to sell that first animal to all 8 owners. See what we can make it bring.
All right. See what we can make it bring. Okay.
There you go. Put it in the local education system.
Put it in the education
there you
fund.
go. That'd be good. Yeah, it'd be fun. But we're excited for it. So.
Boy, that's exciting. I bet you're just like I'm
a kid in a candy store right now.
Yeah, just something you've been striving for the last, I don't know how many years y'all been planning this.
Yeah, we're 4
or 5 years into it. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, that's
Yep.
when we first heard of it down there. It was like, that'd be pretty neat if they ever get it done.
Yeah.
And then,
It'd probably been the fall of 2020, right?
yeah.
When you first probably talked to him. June.
Sounds about right in that time frame. Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah.
No, it's crazy. It'll be almost 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's time. We're to the point where it's just like we just got to get cattle through
Yeah.
there. I can't talk about anything else but
Yeah.
get cattle through there, and then we'll see where we can improve from there. So that would be good.
Well, awesome. Well, Cassie, I'll tell you, we could probably talk for another couple hours, but we
Sure.
appreciate you coming in here. Tana, deeply appreciate you coming in here and sitting down with us. I know you're super busy with everything you got going on. It's going to be interesting to see here pretty soon when this room fills up with all the Logan County cattlewomen supporters. And we'll see if we can buy the champion heifer here pretty
I'm
soon.
gonna bid against you, and I'm gonna buy the champion heifer. I think.
Okay, now we got to get easy. How about we just form a partnership? Hey, we can make that the first one that goes to the floor.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, no, this is a neat deal. I mean, when I first heard about it, when Brett reached out to us and wanted us to come up here, and then we kind of was trying to set a schedule of who I was going to have, and Casey brought you up. Well, we was going to bring you to Fort Worth there early on.
Yeah. Yep.
And this worked out perfect. What are you, 3-4 hours from here?
Just an hour and a half from here. Yeah, where I'm at. Yep. Yeah.
So that worked out perfect, and I was excited because I've heard about your family forever, and then when y'all got brought up when we was starting this deal, and we was trying to sell some cattle up that way, and then that name just always intrigued me. So then when Casey said he knew you, I was like, well, that's perfect. Let's get her on. And
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Let's have this talk,
fun.
and because it's neat to see younger generation like herself just trying to build this thing up, and it's pretty cool to have a role in something that unique, and
Yeah.
I'm excited for y'all. I'd like to, like I said, so she always gives me these signals. I don't know if you notice. I mean, I told him the other day on one, I said, I'm going to turn the camera around one day and I'm going to show y'all what I got to see on the backside of one of these things. One of them gives me countdowns. One of them gives me signals, and I don't know what all this, I'm not a baseball player. I don't know what all this means.
So if we have to leave, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell a story.
No, we
real
don't have to
quick
leave.
because I know we're kind of on camera, but we're not on camera. But so growing up, I worked with my mom on her ranch and feedlot, and so we'd be riding in the hills, like moving cows, and she'd be telling us, something like, go this way or go that way. And I mean, we're far, like it's me to, I know the basketball hoops, we're like, 50 yards away, and you can't see a dang thing she's saying. They're like, I don't even know. So I rode up to her one day and I was like, I don't know what you're saying with your hands in front of your face. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Go that way.
So she just raised them up.
Still couldn't see it, but no, it's funny. So I get the signal thing, but we'll she's telling me to tell the social media land out there to hit subscribe and like. So when we get done here and we're doing some closing remarks, I always got to remember to say hit subscribe and hit like. That's kind of which one of you are they liking?
Well, they're
that's
liking
the question.
I don't know what.
Sure.
I don't
Neither
know.
one of us.
Neither one of you.
They're just doing it because
I'm
Katie
trying
said
really,
to do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to really know what they're subscribing to, because I'm like, I don't. So.
Only good things.
Yes,
only good things.
Good things. But it's been awesome. Thank you for joining us. I mean,
Absolutely.
it just your history, and Casey had told me a little bit about your family history and how unique it was. But this Greek festival thing, he ain't never said nothing about that. So we gotta do that.
We need to have LiveAg be a sponsor of the Greek Fest.
100%. August 16th, Bridgeport, Nebraska, and
Just make sure you got a couple days after that.
Yeah, recovery
to
time.
recover.
Well, 2026 is our 100th anniversary of our Greek festival and the 100th anniversary of our church. So 2026 is going to be big for us. So.
Really? So how far would that be from Casper, Wyoming?
Oh, you're not that far from Casper. Not far.
4 hours.
Because we're going to be in Casper for our August 14th sale. So we can just leave Casper and come right on over.
A newbie at the Greek festival.
And
my favorite.
It's going to be bad.
That'd be great.
So we need to have a hotel room for 2 or 3 days afterwards, is what you're telling me, to kind of recruit?
She's got a hotel
100%.
too,
I
so
got you covered. Yep.
Oh, you got a hotel?
Yep,
Oh,
we're good.
We got a feedlot, we got farms, we got hotels. What do you need? We got the hotel.
Economic development. You got to take care of your town, right?
I love it.
You got to take care of your town.
So 2026 is your 100 years.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. How long has your family been right there?
That's a great question. I know my great grandfather came over in like 1909, But establishing in Bridgeport, I'd have to look that one up.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's deep heritage, deep history. That's what you call
awesome.
roots and foundation.
I don't even know my great grandparents, but she can probably go back and find out she knows where hers lived. You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I lived up the road from them.
I know.
They were my babysitters. She was my babysitter. Old
Wow.
Greek women yelling, smoking cigarettes. Not me, but
gotta love it.
they were just yelling at each other all
Yeah.
the time. They're
Yeah.
kind humans, they are.
Yeah.
Well, once again,
Yeah.
we can't thank you enough for joining us and sharing your story, sharing your family story, and just sharing a little bit of a time. Your time is pretty valuable right now for what y'all got going on, and we just thank you for that. And
Oh, thank you.
you for helping the industry. I mean, stepping out on a limb and going and doing something to prop up the industry and kind of help out with where we're falling short. So
Same
we
with
just
you guys.
thank y'all very much.
It's cool.
And the youth of it, like I said, me and Casey talk about this a lot. We are seeing that rollover turn of the next generation getting involved, and we can't tell you guys and gals out there enough to get involved where you in the ag, get involved at an early age so you can do some stuff like this. I mean, it's not like you can just wake up one morning and go open a bag. I mean,
Right.
you got to start at a young age, learning from your parents, learning from the generation, and
But even if you didn't, I'd encourage people, if you don't know how to get into the industry, start talking to people. I think we underestimate how much we want to help one another. And you touched on it earlier, but there are people that don't have a next generation to pass something on to, and they would love nothing more than to leave a legacy. And there's opportunity out there. A little patience and a little.
we were talking with last week at the cattle raisers. They started a deal called the Gilly Rojas
Mentorship.
Okay.
program. So Gilly was he did not grow up in the ag space, in the ag industry, but he'd come up and went to TC Ranch Management and grabbed a hold of it and really liked it. And some mentors grabbed a hold of him, and he learned from them, King Ranch, and then down through that deal and started his own deal. It's pretty unique, and it sounds like something you said something about Engler's deal at
Engler, yeah.
Nebraska. Those programs, get in those programs and grab a hold to
100%.
somebody. That there's people out there that, like she just said, want to mentor that group of people.
Yeah, you do not have to grow up in this industry
No.
to succeed in it, right? So
And surround yourself with like-minded individuals. That's if you're with people that want to succeed, that's what you're talking about, is success and building and growing, instead of talking negative about the next person. It's how do you be successful. And
We were at McIntyre's earlier, driving around looking at cattle and stuff, and that's what he said. He said, this is a relationship business.
Yep, 100%.
And so get in there and build those relationships and get in those groups. We was talking about FFA earlier.
FFA.
Get in and join the FFA, your FFA foundation, and become an officer. Go through those programs, and that's just 4-H or whatever's in your community that's successful. Latch a hold to those people and grow with them.
Yep, you bet.
But, well, thanks once again.
Absolutely.
Thanks everybody for joining us and watching. Once again, as Katie says, hit subscribe and like as you're getting off our page, but be sure you hit subscribe. So thank everybody for joining us and on the We Live It podcast. And once again, God bless.